All right, my friends, welcome to episode 393 of Prof and Dev Play Games, the only podcast where you get Anthony and me, which is
It's
actually
true.
true. How are you this weekend, Anthony?
I'm good. It's been busy,
Good.
but it's been a gorgeous weekend. Got to feel good about my mechanical knowledge and fixing our lawnmower. So there you go.
Nice.
I
That
don't know.
seems to be
Some
like once
people ask me, they're like, "How do you know this stuff?" I'm like, "I don't know. Guess I was around family that did it." And then I'm like, I have YouTube now. So
exactly.
as soon as I know what the name of parts are, I can usually find a video about how someone repairs it.
Mm-hmm. I feel like you're repairing the lawnmower like once a season, like once a
Yeah,
year.
it's about right now. I mean, we've had this thing for 11 years now since we've been here. So there's always something. There are new blades, or at this point, it's the term I learned, the spindle, which the blade connects to, which has a bunch of ball bearings in it that make it so it can spin. Those wear out as expected. And one wore out. So I had to learn how to replace that.
So you crack it open and put a new ball bearing in, or
No, it's the whole spindle, the whole assembly.
Oh, get the whole thing. Got it.
You just it's 4 screws. You have to take the blade off, and then there's 4 screws, and the whole thing comes out, and you just screw in a new one and screw the new blade on, and put the belt back on.
Sounds good.
But it's a video. There's like a video that's like a 7-minute long YouTube video of like this is what you do. These are the exact socket sizes you need, etc., etc.
I love when you're looking up something new and the YouTube video is like 5 minutes. You're like, okay, this is going to be pretty straightforward. Excellent.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So yeah, that's mostly my weekend. And then our little island festival, yearly festival, which was a little parade and island vendors and stuff. It's not like a fair or anything, or like where we grew up, the rodeo days type stuff. It's not that big, but it has a similar vibe of like little tchotchke shops, and like the restaurants on the main street come out and have like their own like seating on the road through town, because they shut the road down, and people basically drink and eat, and there's live music and small town stuff mostly.
That sounds heavenly. My daughter would love that. We went to a community concert last night, and she just, I mean, my wife today is just like, she's like Encino Man. Like, we've done stuff before the pandemic and then a little bit during, but now we're like out and doing stuff, and she's just like, we're in stores or at concerts and things. She's like, what is this? What is, she just like is staring at everything like, what is this? Having a good time. So we did that. And then today I got a heavy bag for the garage and I've been thinking for a while, like what do I want to do for the exercise? I need to get more exercise in my life. And I was like, I'll start doing that. So I had a fun time putting that up today, and then smacking it around. It was actually really nice. Felt really good, actually. So I can see that. I always come out here and play guitar to relieve stress, but now I can come out here and fucking punch something. So
punch some stuff and relieve some more stress. A different type of stress.
Yes, it's gonna feel very good. Like as soon as I became union president, I should have
done this.
Should have bought one of these fucking things. Yeah, it would have saved me some pain in the last year. But no, things are good. Things are real good. And things are real good, apparently, for Microsoft. We're going to talk finally, and for once and for all, I guess, about the FTC thing, the Activision Blizzard King merger with Microsoft. Then we'll talk about what we're playing. And please remind me to talk about Age of Calamity tonight. I've been meaning to talk about that for several weeks, and I keep fucking forgetting because Final Fantasy rocks. But FTC trial to get the injunction. FTC didn't argue their case to show that there was really any harm to consumers, and the judge said, nah. And then they appealed, and the appeal didn't go through.
Yep, the appeal, this just came through. The U.S. Ninth Circuit Court of Appeal has denied the FTC Commission's final request to pause the takeover. The FTC had sought to have the acquisition kept on hold ahead of a July 18th deadline while appealing. So that's not going to happen. Denied the motion to block the merger. Microsoft the green light to close the deal on July 17th, which is tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. So sometime this week, and I'm not going to play it, but at some point I'm probably going to buy Diablo 4. Like once the news comes out that they've merged and Kotick is gone. But then if Kotick's not gone, what am I going to do? But I'll figure it out.
Kotick's not going to be gone for a while, I bet. I don't think it's going to be immediate. It's almost never immediate, I'll be honest.
Wouldn't that be such a good message, though? Like, yeah, that fucking clown's gone. But yeah, you're probably right.
It's going to... Because it's not... This will happen, then the logistic part will happen of... What does this actually mean? How are we merging these together?
Yeah, and I keep, obviously listening to a ton of gaming podcasts and are talking about it. One thing they keep mentioning about the Bethesda merger was when it was finally official, and I'm assuming that it's official as in like 2 days, right? Tomorrow or Tuesday. 3 days later, 12 or 13 Bethesda games came out on Game Pass. They were, not the newest games.
Yeah.
So I wonder how quickly we'll start seeing things like that. Because that to me indicates like it's Microsoft's in control now.
I feel like that's gonna happen real quick.
Yeah, and that's the thing I need to feel good about buying Diablo 4.
Actually, that is a good question though. So the thing is that this is different than say your Bethesda's. Is Activision has BattleNet,
right?
And those games are designed to run on BattleNet through BattleNet, not
but they run on PS5
at least on a PC side of things.
Yeah.
Like they're definitely like, let's say there's Diablo 4 is going to start showing, or let's say Diablo 2 Resurrected. That's more likely immediately.
Much more likely. Yeah, exactly.
They'll need to make sure that they're doing the work so that the service would interface with the Microsoft backend on PC wise, and the all the stuff that comes off of Game Pass is, I think, through the Microsoft Windows Store. Basically, I know this from Astroneer because people complain in Astroneer that the Steam players and Windows players can't see each other, which Activision has enough money to figure that shit out and have taken care of it. But I assume that they've probably done that work already. Like they've had a year, honestly, so maybe they have done all that.
Getting
work.
ready for it, right?
They could just be like, "No, we're good. We're ready to go."
Yeah, because we're gonna see back catalog stuff sooner than later. I agree with you. Diablo 2, maybe even 3. Who knows? But yeah, I'm just looking. Mega billionaire corporations. Like I'm not excited about them getting bigger. I'm just solely focused on Kotick getting fucking kicked out, and I know that that's not going to happen as soon as I want. But it feels closer to me than it ever has before.
Sure.
So
I think it is closer in the fact that I assume he does, even if it is like golden handcuffs on to stay a few years. Yeesh. But a lot of times, if they want to keep him around, they do golden handcuffs to stay for 2 years.
Yeah, sure. I don't know if they would.
But I don't even know if they need it or care.
Exactly. Yeah, that's right.
Like they'd be like, "Dude, you have your money, you can go."
Like we have a lot of smart people.
And he might want to go
too.
Who knows? This might just be his way of retiring as well. So
Well, that's a good send off. That's a golden parachute.
It's like I'm done. We're out.
Yep.
But it is crazy to think that Microsoft will own all of that. Less the Activision side. The Blizzard side is the part that I'm just like, holy crap.
Well, the Activision side is the old thing that everyone's been talking about is just COD.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. Blizzard, honestly, it's King. King is the thing that people aren't really talking about, but that's the main thing. We're going to see Game Pass mobile at some point. Some sort of incarnation of Game Pass on mobile, I'm sure.
Yeah, and aside of that, I had forgotten about Netflix games.
Oh, yes. You and everyone else on the planet.
And I'm like, oh, wait, I have Netflix on my phone. I play.
Immortality
is through it.
Yes, Immortality's there too.
I was like, download it to my phone. I'm like, I guess I'm going to play Immortality at some point.
Yes, check it out, dude. Have you tried it yet?
No.
Man, what an interesting experience. I need to go back there and finish that.
As
I put
like
told 10 hours
boobies.
in that.
That's what I should know.
Well, absolutely. Yes.
I saw someone that you had mentioned it a little bit, but then I had watched someone else. It was actually Jesse Cox, the streamer, who did like a YouTube thing that was like Gentleman's Gaming Club, and they talked all about it, and he's like, so, those movies from like the 70s that were just had some boobs around. He's like, that's what this game is. And I'm like, oh, that's what it is. Okay.
Well, and it's because of the 3 movies. One of them is one of those movies. You know.
Yes.
Yeah. But
So
then,
I'm like,
but
okay.
you know, this game is set up where you can click something, and it shows you things from other scenes or other movies that is that thing, right? So you click on nipple, and you get nipple, which is a boob, and then it's just you can definitely play it like that if you'd like.
This is hilarious.
I mean, I've read about that.
I'm clearly gonna have to spend some time with this.
It's a great game. It's really like the acting is great. Like it's really well, like we played Her Story for Game Club years ago at this point, and it's just like setting this up. It's just like this is on another level.
Okay.
But it's Barlow, I think, it's the same guy. So.
Yeah, it is the same guy. But I brought that I assume them Microsoft having King now will push them more into having something more central on mobile.
I think that's the whole point of this. I think that's the whole point of this. So I think of like Apple Arcade, but you're right. Netflix games is a good analog. I need to check out Oxenfree 2 because that's on there.
Okay. We can also talk about that. That launched this week. I didn't hear jack shit about that game launching.
King, Jesus Christ. Kind of Funny Games did a games cast on it, review. I was tuned into it because I picked it up for Fantasy Critic. But honestly, like I just looked at Steam right now. It has like 400 reviews. Like
that's the thing. I didn't even know. Like, yeah, it's in Fantasy. I knew it was coming out sometime soon.
Mm-hmm.
But it was this week. I was doing Game Jam and stuff, and had Steam open at one point, and was just in the like new and trending Oxenfree 2, and I was like, really?
Yeah.
And like, I didn't even hear that this launched, and some people at work actually were talking about being like, did anyone notice that this came out? I'm like, what happened to the marketing?
Yeah.
And I guess, like you said, it's through Netflix games, so I guess I can play it I could play it on phone if I wanted to.
Yeah, and I assume you can Bluetooth a controller to that app.
Yeah.
So you can't for Honkai Star Rail, but I assume you can for Netflix.
Not yet.
But, it's like low key, like, if you have a Netflix account, you have access to those games. And, we talk about Game Pass as the Netflix of games. Like, this is where Microsoft is going with their
I think
King
so.
acquisition.
Yeah, I think COD is just a cherry on top more than anything. Like, it's just some extra. It's like, all right, we get Call of Duty. That's cool.
Well, the crazy thing about Call of Duty and why Sony is so fucking freaked out about it is Sony made more profit off of Call of Duty than all of their first-party games combined.
Oh yeah, they have gone all in on Call of Duty since they got that co-marketing deal with Activision when they just had that. It was during the PS4 era when they switched. Like Microsoft had COD locked in, and did all the co-marketing, and it was always like, oh yeah, COD on the 360, and then it was the PS4 came out and that shifted, and it was PlayStation getting all the maps early, and so in some ways I feel like it's more than all their first party, but I'm like, you also built this on a thing you didn't own, because definitely PlayStation and Microsoft were promoting that game constantly.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing is like if you make more revenue off this thing than anything else, and you don't own that thing, eventually that thing will go away.
Yeah.
Or could go away, I should say.
They did sign a deal, a contract though, to keep COD on PlayStation at least for some time.
I saw that, but they didn't say the years.
Sure.
And I don't know if it matters, because there's no way. Why would Microsoft take it off of anywhere? That it makes
so much money. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and after the Judge Corley denied the FTC, Microsoft had some sort of document that came out where they kind of summed up or wrapped up or whatever. They're talking about how Activision Blizzard making COD exclusive to BattleNet for those 5 years was an abysmal failure, and because no one came over to BattleNet to play it.
Yeah.
They lost so much money, so I don't think Microsoft would do that with Call of Duty. Like that's just, I don't think that's going anywhere ever. So.
Yeah. And then you have Blizzard, which is really kind of like the third wheel of this whole thing.
It's the one that I care about the most.
I know. I care about it from a nostalgia and an IP standpoint.
Yes,
but
exactly.
From a money standpoint, it isn't the biggest anymore. That there's so much squandered there. I mean, I'll be curious what Diablo 4 numbers are in the end.
I thought they said it was like
it sold really well.
Yeah.
Already, the first season starts Thursday. So we'll see how that goes. This is the first showing. Like, well, what does seasons mean for Diablo now? What does season mean for Diablo 4? I knew what it meant for Diablo 3. So this is showing off what Diablo 4 season will look like. I need to beat Final Fantasy XVI before then, so I can play the Diablo 4 season to hold me over until Baldur's Gate 3. I think that sounds good.
Yeah, that's totally gonna work out. Although you blazed through Diablo 4 campaign pretty quickly. This is season comparable in terms of length, or
well, that's the thing. I think the season can be as long as you really want it to be, because you don't have to play the campaign again.
Yeah, right.
Like, I can just skip it, and it's just like it's focused on leveling a character, and as far as I can tell, it's actually similar in structure to Diablo 3, where you have like your chapters and things you're trying to do in each chapter of the season, and you get different rewards based on it as you go through it. So but they do have new mechanics. There's like new types of drops, and was it Season of the Malignant?
Oh yeah, I read about that.
Like, there's a whole
where they have like
new
different
meta drops and
or whatever, right?
Yeah,
like
new mechanics, new things, new enemies. These like dark hearts that can drop that you can slot, or new thing that you can socket into sockets on your gear that have different abilities. So there's going to be new, pretty drastic probably build changes based on like hunting for those different hearts that can do different things. So we'll see. I'm curious how it changes things up. But I mean, that's coming out, so we'll see if the sale will go through. So sometime probably towards the end of the year, when they're doing financial calls, we'll get some actual like data on like, well, this is how Diablo 4 is actually done.
Right.
I think general reception's been positive. So
yeah, it has felt really positive, and it hasn't. Even the whole like, I just saw a new character for a season. Like, yeah, you do. Anyway,
yeah, that's not new for Diablo. Like, since 2, right? That's 2. They called it ladder resets.
Yep.
They still in Resurrected do ladder resets. Like, that's just what it is. Like, it resets and you start a new character. The best thing that 3 and 4 are done have just made it so that when you reset and start a new character, you don't have to do the campaign again. You have alternate things you can do to level that are way more entertaining than playing through the campaign you've seen umpteenth times. So we'll see.
I think that's a good cadence. Moving in from Final Fantasy to Diablo 4 season to Baldur's Gate 3, which is the only thing I can fucking think about right now, man. I keep watching Baldur's Gate 3 videos. I just like, what am I doing? Stop. It just looks, God, it looks good.
Yeah.
We talked about that last week for sure.
I don't got anything else with Activision, really.
No, it's coming to a close.
It's been a long time. Yep. They got fought for a while, but I think the UK is going to renege completely on that. CMA is going to.
Oh, you think completely, or they're going to save face in some way?
They said, I saw a thing saying that they're negotiating with Microsoft. So,
right.
I think they're still they're going to do something to save a little face, but they're going to approve it in the UK as well.
Yeah, I read something like Microsoft's going to spin off the cloud gaming piece. They're like, fuck, we don't care. Like, cloud gaming sucks and we're getting nothing out of it. Like, okay, we'll spin it off into a subsidiary. Great. Bye.
Sure.
Done.
Yeah.
That's what you care about? Fucking awesome.
Cool.
Before we get into Final Fantasy XVI, I see that you picked up on Fantasy Critic Stray Gods. I'm curious how that's going to do. But speaking of Baldur's Gate 3, they moved the hell out of the way of Baldur's Gate 3 and changed their release date.
I figured Stray Gods was worth at least. It's probably going to do a few points.
I almost picked it up a couple times, to be honest.
Like, why not? I don't have a huge amount of faith in it, but I don't think it's going to be horrible.
Yeah.
But
you got one more slot. I filled up.
I got one more spot. I don't know what I'm going to put in there.
I got Cocoon.
Yeah, I hadn't heard of that one.
Yeah, it's the Play Dead folks. One of inside designer basically, and it looks fucking rad. Like it's weird multi-level kind of thing. If you find go find just a fucking video showing you what Cocoon is. I can't really explain it
Okay.
But it looks cool. But unless I have to drop Hollow Knight Silk Song because it's not releasing this year, I'm done. I'm filled out. I regret picking up Lego 2K Drive. It gave me a whopping 2 points, but oh well.
Yeah, that game looked like it had so much potential.
It did. I got suckered. Some of the previews, I'm like, okay, this is gonna hit an 80 at least.
It looked really neat.
Yeah. Not so much.
But
what does look really neat is Final Fantasy XVI. You are 4 trophies away from platinuming it.
Yeah, I really am. I just have to do the final dungeon, which I said I think last week. But I did all my trophy farming that I could do now. So I've done every trophy except the ones that basically I have to beat the game. That's one trophy. There's one that is you need to learn and max every ability.
I saw that one, yeah.
That's like 118,000 ability points,
Jesus.
Which would be part of doing the next thing, which is going through New Game Plus with the Final Fantasy mode. You'll get close. Playing through the game a second time and doing like all the hunts again through New Game Plus, you would get very close to 118. You probably still need to grind a little bit, but not a huge amount. So I have to finish the game. I have to play the game on New Game Plus and Final Fantasy mode, and I need to learn and max every ability, which then unlocks the Platinum Final Trophy. So,
what's Final Fantasy difficulty again? Is it no rings? No.
Oh, you can use
what
rings.
Is it then? Oh shit! What is it then?
It's just the level cap. It's New Game Plus. You keep everything that you've had. So, and you keep your level. So level 50.
So New Game Plus is always Final Fantasy mode.
It doesn't have to be.
Oh, okay.
I guess that's true. All New Game Plus allows you to go from level 50 to 100. Keep all your abilities, keep all your gear.
Yep.
Final Fantasy mode just is theoretically a harder difficulty, but doesn't sound like they change monster stats. They just change
behaviors and stuff, right? Like
some behaviors, and then they remix what monster enemies are in different places. So they
that's kind of cool.
Swap out waves with harder enemies and things like that. Although I've heard that it's really actually not that hard when you go back through on New Game Plus, because I will tell you the last 3 icon sets you get make you really fucking strong.
So do you even use the old icons anymore then?
I use some of them. I don't. How would I say this? I use so there's the icons and the abilities. I use Garuda still for the Deadly Embrace. Her iconic ability. So when you get thing to their half stagger, you can use it to pull them down to the ground or topple them. Right. Use that. I want that, but I don't use any Garuda abilities. I slot in other abilities in there. I'm using an Ifrit ability, the Wykes one, so I take less. It protects me if I screw up on dodging, but it also, if I'm up close, just beats them with little balls that just wrecks their will gauge, stagger gauge. So there's that. I'm using Ramu, the lightning rod, where you put the little thing on the ground.
Oh yeah.
And then it does an AoE damage every time you hit it. I drop that, and use another ability on top of it, and just do insane amounts of damage during stagger.
That's cool. I guess I had heard during podcasts that you, for example, you were talking about with Garuda keeping one but getting rid of the other ones. I've tried to do that, and I guess maybe I don't know how to do it, or maybe I'm thinking of it the wrong way. But I thought you could mix and match.
You can't. You have to master the ability though.
Oh.
Master, no matter what the ability is. There's two levels of upgrades to their abilities. One is upgraded, and then one is mastered. Yep. All mastered means is you can slot it to any icon.
That's
And so I've had to master a few things so that I can swap them around.
Exactly. Got it.
But yeah, I mean, at this point, do you have an idea of, do you know or want to know what are the other icons?
It's not a spoiler for me. So I know there's an ice one somewhere.
So I'm using Garuda icon, iconic power, so that then I don't use any Garuda actual abilities, just slot in other things. I'm using Shiva as my second one for the iconic power, and that I'm slotting in. I'm using only one Shiva ability. And then I'm using Odin as the last one. And Odin is really freaking strong. Like, just their iconic power is really strong. But I'm slotting in on that one. I'm using their ultimate ability, Odin's ultimate, but I've mastered Bahamut's ultimate and slotted Giga Flare, and that's the one that, like, I can, like, take over half of a boss's health bar in one stagger gauge.
Fuck. Wow.
Using Giga Flare with lightning rod down. So the Giga Flare is just like one big beam that just goes through the enemy for a certain amount of time, and it pauses the stagger gauge while this beam's going. But it will proc lightning rod every tick of the damage.
Oh yeah. Sure.
So I'm amping damage up there and doing that. I use Diamond Dust from Shiva, which immediately, if I use that during a stagger, immediately takes it to a 1.5 multiplier.
Oh, nice.
So, like, I just unload. Like, I've done 120,000 points of damage in one stagger phase.
Oh, damn. I just did 19,000 last night.
Yeah, I've done a lot. And I'm like, and even the in-game bosses, like, the last ones I fought leading up to this thing, I have killed them in 2 staggers with this setup.
So when you go through New Game Plus, like, if you've mastered an ability, it's not going to get any stronger.
Nope.
But I guess as you level up, you get stronger. So does it make them stronger?
Yeah.
Okay, it scales in that way. Okay.
It scales that way. Your stats matter. And then
it's an RPG, folks. Stats
and
matter.
Then in New Game Plus, you can forge trinket your accessories together. So if you have 2 accessories of the same type, you can forge them together to double their effect, and you can only do that in New Game Plus.
Double in terms of, like, keep the 2 different stats on the one slot, or what do you mean?
No.
I see what you're saying.
You have to merge the same one together.
And then
so, like,
add them together.
if let's say it's the one
defense plus 30, D plus 50 or whatever.
Yeah. Yep. Got it. In or like the ability ones that are like, improves this ability by 9% more damage. It will become 18% more damage.
Yeah, interesting.
So, there's more you can do there. Weapons also are way stronger in New Game Plus. Like, I think the highest, if you go through it again and get, like, you can make an Ultima weapon, basically, is the final crafted thing you can do in New Game Plus. And it's a ridiculously high damage numbers. So I think that's the thing with it. I think New Game Plus could be harder, but I think you're just really strong at this. Yeah. And you just have such a large kit of abilities and everything that it's actually probably not that much harder, or noticeably harder at all. So I'll be curious. I'm gonna try it at some point, but I don't know if I really want to play the game again.
Like immediately. Well, you had mentioned on Discord, like, you'll skip the cutscenes. It's like, holy shit, that'll cut the game down by like 3/4.
I know. I've heard that, like, you could, if you skip all the cutscenes, you can probably get through New Game Plus in like 15 to 20 hours tops.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah. Interesting.
And like, I could just do New Game Plus with this, and I could put on the Ring of Timely Attacks and the Ring of Timely Evasion. Mm-hmm. And I still get the trophy. That doesn't.
That's what I was wondering, is because, like,
it doesn't stop you. They don't care if you use those.
Yeah.
And I put those both on to do one trophy. You have to do. There's the Chronolist, which I.
Oh yeah.
I didn't come across them until later, and I was like, oh, I should go back and do these. There's one for each icon ability. And you finish them, and they give you another accessory for the ultimate of that icon that increases the damage of that ability. But to get a trophy, you need to do all of them, and they're like timed, wave-based things. And I was like, as soon as you had time to, I'm like, I don't want to deal with this. So I just put timely evasion on and timely attack on, and just wrecked all of them. And it was like, nice. Cool, I'm done. I don't need those anymore. I'm like, is that clean? I don't know. I don't care.
Who cares? Just have fun. Do it.
Basically, I'm like, and yeah, I don't like timer-based things really. So I basically auto-dodged everything and then just spammed the attack button. Weirdly, it doesn't auto-dodge you all the time. Because really? You could still be animation locked.
Oh, okay.
And you can't dodge out of the way, and during it. It wants to dodge you, but you might be in an attack sequence, and it's like, oh, you're going to get hit.
Yeah.
So actually, I'm like, it may, while it is easier, I don't know if it's optimal to run both of those together. Like, I think you probably want timely attack and the evasion one that lets you hit R1 to evade.
To get the slow down or whatever?
Yeah. I think that one might be better to run those together if you're trying to do it.
That makes sense.
I
haven't. I've only played with the timely evasion, or not timely evasion.
Timely attack.
Timely attack. That's the only one I've ever used. I haven't even tried the other ones yet.
Yeah.
But it's nice they're there. It's an option for know, accessibility, etc.
Yep.
Or just like frustration.
Through the New Game Plus. Let's see if
exactly
put those on and just go through it.
Well, depending on how fast you get through your season for Diablo 4, maybe you'll come back and play it for like 3 fucking nights or whatever.
Yeah, and burn through it. It'd be neat to platinum it.
Yeah, you're so close, man. Like,
yeah.
It would be down to 2 trophies, really.
Yeah. It would be pretty cool.
Wait, is there a trophy for New Game Plus and a trophy for Final Fantasy?
Okay. It's beating it on Final Fantasy mode, which you could only do in New Game Plus.
Yeah, okay.
So that's why they're kind of wrapped together.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But I've done everything in that game has to offer so far. So
and still really high on it.
Yeah, I love it. I'm having a blast with it. It is the most Final Fantasy game to me. It's like every theme that is Final Fantasy is just, but it's just like crank to 11 on everything. Just like, no, we're not going to be subtle with a bunch of our stuff and like what the themes of Final Fantasy are. It's pretty through and through. There was the interview before the game came out. It was Yoshi P and Koji Fox and Ben Starr, and I think they asked him like, Ben Starr, what's the theme of the game? And he's like, it's love. The theme of the game is love, and it is cool. Like you actually see it. Like there's different types of love in the game. There's brotherly love. There's romantic love. There's love between like a lot of different types of familial love. Found family love between found families.
Love for my girl Jill. Oh man.
Yeah, you get love a lot with like Sid and Benedetta and like all there's the complexities of love. It's not like what I would say like The Last of Us, where like the theme is love and how it's just can be destructive. That's not what this Final Fantasy is not about. Cynicism and destructive natures. It's like the good aspects of love. I mean, you could talk about you playing it because you got through some of the what I would say are like you've had a pretty rough time in that game, like as Clive, do the 5-year skip. You've lost Sid, did the 5-year skip, and then you're kind of going and you're like, you got the wins of Sir Wade, meeting Sir Wade again.
Sir Wade was cool. Yeah, exactly.
And that then your uncle.
Yeah, so the uncle, but Sir Wade, like that whole thing, like finally started hitting some positive beats, right? The uncle, whose name like escapes me right now. Byron.
Uncle Byron.
So they
which I actually love that scene.
Oh, it was so good, man.
When he's like, "How dare you use my nephew's name?"
Yeah.
Like, but then Clive doing the like acting out, clearly some play that they really liked, and that his uncle had played a part in it. And I don't know, like this the way that it's filmed, and again the voice acting is very good, and the capture as well of like his uncle like tearing up while speaking the lines of like realizing like, oh, my nephew is alive. This is crazy. Yeah. But it felt good. It was wins. It was actually like, oh, this is paced well because we've been having a lot of pretty big downers, and it feels good to actually like have some like, no, the world isn't always awful to you. Like there are good things here.
When I'm walking into the Jill thing now, like feeling like it's like this is like a revenge trip, and it's gonna feel fucking awesome. And I hope that's how it goes because otherwise I'll feel sad because I like Jill a lot.
Yeah.
I feel like her characterization, people have had complaints about it in terms of like she doesn't have a lot to do, and maybe that's true later, or who knows. But so far, like I feel like she feels like a partner.
She is
with Clive.
I think that what I hear a lot is they're like, she doesn't talk a lot, and I'm like, that is also part of her characterization. Like,
well, I think
she's not a super chatty person.
No, but whenever she talks,
they've made her that way specifically.
But whenever she talks, she's like, it's really like impactful. It's not just like stupid inane shit. Like, it's really important. And like, it just every time she talks, I'm like, okay, these two fucking know each other. They're in it together. Like, I love Jill. I love Sid. I love Jill, which is funny. I keep loving the characters around Clive. I still like Clive a lot, but I really like Sid and Jill.
Clive continues to build. And I think that way, that the characters around him, by the point I'm at, I love Clive because of the way he's very mature.
Yeah.
And like where you're at it now, being that 5-year jump, and it just continues, you're like, I see how you could react to this and maybe how you would have reacted to this younger, and you're choosing not to react that way. You're choosing a better path consistently.
When I'm looking at my game clock, and it's PS5 is telling me that I'm 44% of the way through the game, basically, and I don't know how accurate that is for where I'm at. I don't know if you have
roughly.
An idea.
I think you're roughly. I think once you beat this one that you're going to, you'll be about halfway through the game.
Okay, that's cool. Because I'm slow. I'm 45 minutes to an hour a night. Last night it was like an hour and 10 minutes because I was just like, I want to keep going, but I was just like tired. And then I have a week, and then I'm headed up to see you. So I don't think remote play is going to work very well.
Not for this game, I don't think. But I really enjoy this game a lot. I still find it a lot of fun to do the combat. And I just am invested in the story and the characters, which is what I want out of a Final Fantasy game. So.
Oh yeah, totally. Like that's
what it is.
I mean, it just feels to me like a really long movie. Like it's a series, really. Like it's being played for me in a way, not only because I'm wearing a damn ring for attacks, but also I feel like it's like, go here, experience this cutscene, go here, experience this cutscene, which is fine. I'm totally down. This is not a criticism. I think some people would criticize that, but this is the experience that I want after playing Zelda and before I start fucking Baldur's Gate.
Yeah.
Because I think that's next.
Yeah.
I can't say no. And I just don't know. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I've talked to my wife about that. Like, people are complaining that, like, yeah, it's just like you do stuff and it's just like a cutscene, another cutscene. It's just like, that's what Final Fantasy is. Yeah. That's why you play it.
Yep.
You do the grind of the combat and fight the stuff so you can get rewarded with the story and the cutscene.
Exactly.
Like, that is what the series has been about for most of our lives.
The story is the reward.
It is.
Yeah.
Like, and if you don't like story or not interested in story and game, then Final Fantasy is not the series for you.
Yeah.
Probably ever.
But especially this iteration.
Yeah.
There's way more story here than, I mean, I haven't played a ton, but played 10 hours of 6 and I played all of 15. Like, there's way more story here.
Yeah, I would say that the thing is with this, because she was asked, my wife was asking me today, she's like, how does it compare to like 15 story? I'm like, it's coherent. Is the thing.
Like 15, I can't even remember 15 story.
No, that's my problem. That's the thing. 15 story is not memorable because it's not really that coherent. I don't think it's very obtuse, weirdly paced and cut together. And it's just not memorable. I'm like, this one, it's a very coherent story. It is following along. I know the beats. I know what's going on. I know who's here and who to care about and why they're doing what they're doing.
Well, I love how it just sticks with one. Like, you have your people join you. Like, you had Sid, you have Jill or whatever. But, like, it's fucking Clive. It's his story, you know?
Yep.
It's very cool. Cool. Well, before we move in the podcast, Age of Calamity.
Yes.
Hyrule Warriors, Age of Calamity. I don't know why. My daughter is just in a fucking Zelda. She's a Zelda nut right now. So we played Tears of the Kingdom, then we went to Breath of the Wild, and she got to Kakariko Village. And then I cannot remember why, but we pivoted to Hyrule Warriors, Age of Calamity. And it's a T-rated game. Yep. And we only play up to E10. But she's seen the movie with me. I was like, let's try it. I'm just struggling to figure out why it's T, other than like there's a lot of combat.
Combat, probably.
I guess. But it seems fine. But we are like 12, 13, 14 missions in now. We're like really far into the game, playing together, and she's having a blast, loving the characters, just loving the combat. Like abandoning me on the battlefield to go fucking explore somewhere and find a fucking Korok. And I'm getting face stomped by a Lionel. So that's a little frustrating. But overall, it's been really fun. And I was just like, wait a second. This game's actually really good. Like, when I tried playing that before, I was like, okay, it's just a Muso button mash thing, whatever. But playing with her is giving me a kind of a different window into it. And I was like, oh, wow, this is just that mindless dumb fun. Like, we're having a fucking blast. So I just wanted to share that. And then for the DLC, you can play as Robbie and Pura and Suga. And she's like, Daddy, can you please buy that DLC so we can play those characters? She's having a fucking blast. How
can you say no to that?
Well, yeah, exactly. Actually, now I'm remembering why we started playing it, because she was lamenting, and I owe you $10 game on Steam, by the way, because you can't play as Zelda in Tears of the Kingdom. Sure. And I was like, well, you can play as Zelda in Age of Calamity, and you can also play as Mipha. And she was like, you play as Mipha? Mipha's her favorite fucking character. And I was like, yeah. So she wanted to play as these female characters, and this is the game where you can do it. So that's why I played it. And she's just enjoying that. There's so many, Impa, fucking Zelda, sure. Mipha, Pura you can play as with the DLC. So it's given her like a window into playing as those characters that she loves, because you can't play them in the base games. Fucking Nintendo.
No.
So that's why we played, and it's been really, really good. And there's so much, like the map. I don't know if you've seen it or whatever, but you choose the main missions, but outside of that, there's like little smaller combat missions, and then tons of smaller tasks to do all over Hyrule. That's like menu based, really, bringing them ingredients or resources.
Sure. Yeah, I saw that in the demo.
Yeah, it's really elaborate. It gets really elaborate. And it's just, there's so much to do outside of the combat that it kind of is, like, it's more interesting to me than Hyrule Warriors was, the original one.
Sure.
Because of all the extra stuff to do. So, yeah, we're having a blast, and it's totally out of left field, unexpected. Like, that's all she wants to play.
Okay.
Yeah.
I did play one other thing. I picked it up.
What'd you play?
It is another $5 game. I think it was a $4 game when I bought it. This is during the Steam sale, called Halls of Torment.
Halls of Torment. Okay.
So, Vampire Survivors is an homage to Castlevania.
Yeah.
But what if we took Vampire Survivors and made it an homage to Diablo 2?
Oh, my.
That is Halls of Torment.
All right, Steam. Let me open you up real fast. Halls of Torment. Halls of Torment. Okay. Tell me more.
It is a... So the thing is I'm playing it. I'm like, yeah, first glance, you're like, oh, this is Vampire Survivor. There's just a lot of enemies coming at you. It's harder than Vampire Survivors. You actually need to like move and dodge. You can control your attacks if you want to.
Instead of auto. Okay.
Yeah, or you can set it. You can left click to attack, or just right click one time and it sets it to auto. I've just been using auto, but there are builds and gear that you can get that make it so that you don't want to be auto attacking, because your abilities will be stronger if you're not using your standard attack.
Okay.
But it has what I would say a deeper metagame progression. It has gear and a whole way of like getting gear while playing, and then you can at each run, if you hit a find a certain thing on the map, which is marked. You can go to the well and say, I want to send this piece back up. And then you can buy it once you're back in your town area to use it forever. Like, and so you can start making gear loadouts. You have a number of slots, rings, like your normal Diablo slots, I'll say. It is probably the best Vampire Survivor thing since Vampire Survivor. It's just a very different take on it. Like, this is like, hey, we want to be Diablo 2, a little bit more loot based, a little bit more challenging. Bosses are pretty damn tough in this game. You can't just forget about, like, sit and just win. You have to be moving and kind of strategizing how you're attacking and what you want to be doing. So, what'd they do?
They did a game in my library called Cosmonautica.
Oh, yeah.
Chasing Carrots. I don't know if I played that, but I remember looking at this.
Yeah.
Interesting. Wow, fuck. I need to check this game out. Is it only on Steam right now?
Yep. It's early access on Steam.
Okay.
It kind of came through to me from some people at work had picked it up. And yeah.
What is this?
If you like that type of game, it has a bunch of content for this early access.
Oh man, I'm gonna have to check that out. Daniel already has it too.
That doesn't okay.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me either.
I mean, it's a $5 game. Like,
yeah, exactly.
So many people.
Yeah, exactly. It's the right price point for that kind of thing, man. Smart.
Yeah. So yeah, I've been playing that. It's fun. I assume that it's been successful enough that it will. I feel like it's going to come to other platforms.
Oh yeah, for sure. This came out in May. Interesting.
Yeah. Kind of went under the radar, I think, until recently. And now I kind of see it. The work was like a week and a half ago at work. Someone first mentioned it. And now, probably over this past few days, I've seen it mentioned a couple different places that I play game. Maybe that's just confirmation bias. Like, I see it now that I know about it. I'm not just ignoring it.
I bought a blue car. Now I see blue cars everywhere.
Yeah.
Well, I'm picking it up right now. I'm gonna check that out. Vampire Survivors with a Diablo 2 kind of.
Yeah,
bent
to it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, I need more games right now. Like, I need more games. I don't need to buy another game for the rest of my life, and I'll be good.
This game was really good for me on this past week of game jams when I didn't want to put too much mental energy into a game. I'm like, okay, this is the right level of mental use I can do right now.
Yeah. Well, your game jam game looked cool.
It was fun.
And the image and the names were just inspired, as you said.
Gardener. I can't. That was very inspired by one of our teammates. So, like, calling it a gardener all the time, it was like, why can't it be the guard-inner? I'm like, you're right. That's what they're doing. I'm like, why haven't I heard that pun before? I've never heard it.
Yeah, me neither.
It's right there for the taking. So
very wise, very smart.
Yeah, so that was fun. Game Jam was a lot of fun. But cool. Yeah, that's all I got.
Cool. All right, me too. Well, next week we'll be recording a little later than normal, and we will be together again, not in the car, so it'll sound better. So we will see you for that podcast, and until then, if you like us, please rate us on your podcast service of choice, and we'll see you next week at some point.
Later, everyone.
See ya.